Okie doke. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Claire Sharp. I'm Digital Participation Officer with SCVO. Welcome, everyone, to our Connecting Scotland webinar around online safety. And today, this is the focus on this is going to be online shopping and banking. It's the final webinar in this particular series, and we're lucky enough to have Rob Hartman from Get Safe Online joining us. Rob will be taking over from myself just in a couple of moments. We are delighted to have you all here today, and as we've discussed, we are interested in hearing all your questions, all your thoughts. There will be a poll during this so that you can let us know your opinions and some questions that Rob has kindly set up for us. And also, if people have questions and things, if they want to pop them in the chat pane, but we'll also have time for questions and answers at the end. My colleague Ailey is with us as well, also from SCVO, and she will be putting some handy hints and links and things up, and also she's here to provide me with moral support as well as admin support. So kind of without further ado, I'm just going to let Rob take over, and I hope you all enjoy.
Great, thanks very much, Claire. Morning, everybody. Well, I'm glad to say that it's sunny where I am. As you can see, we've got a bit of a glare, so hopefully the shadows won't distract from my good looks. But anyway, great to be here. And like I said, we're going to talk about online shopping and banking. And these are really useful opportunities for us to do so much online. I think that currently during lockdown, we've probably all made purchases. We've all been involved in online banking, and I'm just interested in getting your views really on some of that activity and your experiences, because it's important that we share those experiences between us and also understand that whilst there are threats out there, providing we behave safely, that we can get the absolute best out of the internet, and that it can really enhance our lives rather than be an additional burden. So I think during lockdown, we've seen the advantages of being online. And if we just think back, to a number of years ago when we didn't have this facility, what lockdown might have been meant for us then. So without further ado, I think what we'll do is we'll go through the poll, Claire, straight away, and just get your views, ask a few questions about your experiences of whether you have shopped online or whether you banked online, and how those experiences went. So Claire, I'll let you start the poll, and then hopefully we'll all be able to contribute to that.
Okay, doke. So I'm going to launch it just now. It's fairly straightforward, guys. And what we'll do is once everyone's answered, when Rob's ready, just shout and I will display the answers. So here we go.
So there's a number of questions on there talking about online auction sites such as eBay and Gumtree, and what experiences you've had, whether they've been good or bad. And the same with online banking. Were those experiences good? Did you find it easy to use, or you're a bit indifferent about them? And as a result of your use of those sites, have you, or as a result of your use of either those sites, or ultimately of someone pretending to be those sites, have you lost any sort of money, or has someone financially gained as a result of a particular fraud or activity? So we've got 11, 12 out of 14, 13, so we're
almost
there. Got a good response there.
just give it another wee second or two, and then we can see what people are saying about their experiences so far.
And what I'm hoping this will tell us is that we've all been online and we've all used those facilities. I imagine will be the case. But again, hopefully we'll be encouraged that people have had experiences online and it's been good. And that is also what you can share with other people who might be afraid of actually going online or using these facilities when really we've perhaps clouded it in fear of it, which was part of the discussion last week.
Okay, so I think we'll display the answers now.
Okay, so here we go then. Can everyone see that? Just a quick thumbs up from a few people I can see. Yeah, okay, good. So have you ever used an online auction site like eBay or Gumtree? 100% of people who have responded, so that's good. Was the experience good or bad? So there's a good result again. 85% saying they had a good experience online, so that's encouraging. 15% so-so, but at least no one said, oh, it was an absolute car crash. So that's good news. Have you used online banking? Well, a lot of people have, and I'm sure a lot of people do. One person says they haven't, but that said, the people that have had a good experience. So that again is reassuring. And I know that you are enlightened a little bit in the online world, so that's good. Have you lost any money? So we've got 31% there saying that even though they've had those good experiences in certain areas of online shopping or banking, a loss has occurred. So that's something there that does signal to us, actually, we do have to make sure that we're protected online and look out for the warning signs. Okay, so I'll just take over Claire from here. I think I can stop as a host. There we go. And I'll just share my screen and start to go through the presentation. But before I do that, that is a clear indication there that a lot of people are using online shopping and online banking safely, but also broadly, a third of people have suffered a loss. So there is a risk there, and that is what you need to then make sure that we can pass on to others and protect them. So that's what we will talk about. And so we'll talk about online auction sites, and I'll talk about, from my experience in law enforcement, in dealing with a sort of a relatively straightforward fraud that defrauded a large amount of people out of a substantial amount of money. So I'll talk about that. Spotting a fake. How do you know what's real and what's not? It really is the game on the internet. And so I'll just take you through some of the pointers on that as to how to spot fake website or even adverts on auction sites that don't look so good. Banking. Go through the procedures on what's good about online banking, and also what are the best protection opportunities. In COVID, we've seen an increase in travel frauds, and I thought that would be interesting because people are having not had their holidays. They might have had a holiday in the UK. They might be trying to get elsewhere now. So I just thought that would be interesting, just to bring to your attention what's currently happening in the travel sector and what the likely threats are there. For those that haven't joined us before, just a quick sort of summary about me. 32 years in law enforcement in the UK, 25 years in the CID doing criminal investigations, and then the last 10 years of my career involved in this type of work, investigating fraud, financial and cybercrime. So my expertise and experience is in those fields, and hopefully I'll share some of those experiences today so that you won't fall foul, or the people you're connecting with won't fall foul of a crime. And I've got involved in Get Safe Online because I thought I could still be of some use and pass these messages on to help other people. There's no way that we're going to arrest ourselves out of this particular problem. It's all about education, and that's really important. And like I said last time, well, the snow hasn't come just yet, but the clouds are gathering, so the winter will be here before we know it. So I might be able to get and do a bit of that. But unfortunately, we've got no live music still, so that's still a problem for me in my pastime. So I'll just have to carry on going on my bike. So what next? Well, we did talk, and I bring this slide up every time because it's so important, just to show the activity of the internet in 1 minute. So if we look at this, there's if I get my pointer up, sorry. There's over $1 million spent every minute online. And I'm sure we contribute to that. Downloads and online marketplace activity. So it really is a hotbed, and like we've said before, during lockdown, well, quite clearly everyone's been making purchases online with not going to the shop. So shopping and so on and so forth, almost anything and everything is available and can be delivered. So let's make sure that we carry on doing that and make sure that we do it safely. So just a number of websites, auction sites, there are thousands. Gumtree, eBay, Facebook Marketplace are our main go-to websites for this. So the fraud that I was talking about was on Gumtree. And that, I'm just going to talk you through that and then share some other eBay. So this particular fraud was on Gumtree, and it was in relation to Apple mobile phones. And it quite simply was a photograph of a brand new phone, or an image, not even a photograph, just a stock image of an iPhone that was put on for sale. And then the buyer would interact, yes, put in a bid for it. Then the fraudster would communicate and say, can we take this offline, out of eBay or out of Gumtree? It's communication. Can we communicate personally? Which is what they did on a fake email address. So they started then to communicate through email. And then they said, oh, I can't pay through PayPal because I've locked, my account's locked, or I can't use it. Can you do a direct bank transfer? So the direct transfer was made, email sent, goods are on the way. No goods were ever received. The advert was taken down, and the seller had only got, the buyer had only got this email address that was registered, obviously through Hotmail or Gmail, and couldn't be traced. So the money went through a direct bank transfer to an account, but the fraudster was using what are termed money mules. And money mules are people who, we talked about social engineering, and ultimately the fraudster was enabled to persuade them to accept money on their behalf for whatever reason and then transfer it. So the fraudsters were keeping themselves distant from the whole thing, and this operation was carrying on, and they were getting the money. Now, the victims went to eBay or went to Gumtree and said, hang on, can I make a complaint, please? Because I've been defrauded on your website. And they were like, well, no, you haven't obeyed the rules. You went outside of our restrictions and our guidelines to say that you should purchase and remain in contact on our system and on our website, and you should pay through PayPal or an approved facility. Because they didn't do that, Gumtree held no responsibility, and they lost their money. So if you times, so the people who they were targeting, well, were people who probably didn't have a lot of money. So they were putting good phones for sale, iPhones for sale at cheap prices to lure people in, and people were going for it. So if you think that they were putting up new iPhones for £250 and 1,000 people bought those phones, that is a lot of money. And so as a result of that, we got involved, and we started to take charge, and we did make significant arrests on that, and there were 12 people that were convicted of fraud and money laundering and a conspiracy, and there were 36 money mules who were also arrested. So that's another message to send to people when they see perhaps jobs online or something along those lines. You know, get rich quick schemes. You can use can I use your account to put some money in? You'll get 10%. That kind of thing is still rife at the moment, and so a really important message to carry on. So we go to these sites to do our purchasing. So what I thought we'd do was actually go on a site and have a look. Let me see if I can just turn this pointer off. So I think it's probably worthwhile if we just, I shared the wrong thing there, if you just bear with me. We're going to go on eBay and have a quick look. So here we are, eBay. Can you all, sorry, it's my computer saying internet. Are we okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Hello, can you hear me?
Sorry, Rob, that was me.
Right, okay, cutting me off
Yes.
in mid-flow, no problem. Okay, so here we go then. Look, I've just put an iPhone. There's 46,000 iPhones for sale on eBay at present. How do you know what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad? So just going to have a look then at, hang on. At some of those. So if I can get onto this one. So here we've got an iPhone for sale in a box, various things on here. Okay, the product looks good. Well, that, in fairness, that can just be done by anybody at any time by putting that particular product in. It's over here you need to look. So here we've got the seller information, and this is a score, and this is the star rating. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, 13 doesn't sound very good to me. And if I click on this particular link, I haven't got a photo of anybody. They haven't sold, they've got no ratings whatsoever. They've been on here since 2013 and they haven't sold anything or got any feedback. Doesn't look really good from that point of view. And I would then be thinking, right, well, I'm not particularly keen on that. Feedback on the seller for the last 12 months, 0. Next one. Okay, looking a little bit better. Again, the photo of the phone is a bit dodgy, but we have got some other images of an actual phone in an actual case. Okay, what have we got here? Score of 141, a bit better. So let's have a look at the seller. 12 positive in the last 12 months. So we have got some activity. They've been on since 2009. They have sold items in the last 12 months. And here we've got someone saying that they're a good buyer. So they've bought things as well. So they have been interacting. So that's probably something a little bit more reassuring. Over here, it looks like we've got something that is actually a company. We've got stock photos. We've got a lot of people viewing the site, but we've also got items here that have been significantly sold. We've got a huge amount of feedback. So we've got a huge score, 11,000 on this score. So let's have a look at the seller. Okay, we've got 3,000 positive. They've been on since 2013. They've obviously been doing a lot more business. Great eBayer. One negative out of all of that suggests that they've got a substantial footprint on eBay with products. So that just gives you a little bit of an inclination there as to the types of information that you can find out. Drill into the detail on the sellers, have a close look at their feedback score, have a close look at their ratings, and if anyone is obviously saying negative things, we do have people who want to take their competitors down and put bad reviews and stuff like that. Generally speaking, most people, if they've had a bad experience, will review it in a common sense way. So have a look at the seller in close detail, because that will identify the poor ones. And like that one at the very beginning, that was got a few red flags for me, and I wouldn't be buying that phone from there. So if we just go back into the presentation to reiterate some of those points. So if you're new to online auctions, take time to read the guidelines. It's important to do that, because if you don't follow the guidelines, then you won't have any recourse with that particular auction site. If you go outside of the rules, then, well, you're on your own. Understand what they can and can't do if something goes wrong. So can you claim the money back? If you paid through what they have identified as a genuine payment sort of facility, then they should refund you, or that facility should refund you. So really understand what they can and can't do before you start going into the detail on a purchase. Look into the seller or the buyer. I mean, this is what I mentioned in that little short sort of clip there. Have a look. Are they an online store? We've seen a private individual, and we've seen an online store. The seller is a business. Yeah, check their real world existence. Difficult though, because like we saw on that advert from One Line Mobile, I think it was called, they are simply online. Their actual real world existence might be difficult. But if you're buying from a company that is selling direct to you, then do that real world check. Take some time to do some Google research. Online tools are there for you to identify what's genuine as well. So always be clear about methods of payment, and never get in touch with them directly. Always go through that online auction site or that website to make sure that that transaction is recorded through that particular auction site, and make sure that you understand the payment. We had a case where people were complaining that they'd been charged significant amounts of commission, but it did say in the advert that there would be a 20% commission charge on top of the fee, but they didn't read it, and so therefore they thought that it wasn't applicable. And then they saw it on their bill and questioned it, and they said, well, actually it does say. And because it said, it wasn't unlawful. It probably breached the rules of the online site, but it wasn't unlawful. Another red flag is this one: don't fall for requests that they're going to close an auction early. So if you're in interaction on a sale and the seller is then saying, well, I'm going to close the auction, you're going to have to buy it now. All of those pressure tactics are all part of the fraudster's game. So don't engage with them on that. And that is a warning sign to disengage, really. This one here is we've had this a number of times where people have said, I'm not going to dispatch my goods until I've had proof of payment. And what fraudsters have done is be able to develop what looks like an email from PayPal to say that the payment has been made. And that comes through on an email, not through the account on PayPal. So always make sure that you check your PayPal account so that funds have been transferred into it, not the fact that you have been told by the fraudster that funds have been transferred, if that makes sense. So you're checking your account to see the money go in on your PayPal, not listening to what a fraudster has told you, or a very, very genuine looking email to say that a payment has been made, that then dupes you into sending goods that you haven't actually been paid for. And this is the kicker here, is never transfer money directly into a bank account. Always use the transactions facilities that are on the site. And again, the reason for that is that the fraudster is in control, and they can move that money from whatever source that you've put it into to another account very, very quickly. If you've used online banking, and a lot of you have from the survey, on your phone, you can make transfers and transactions instantly at the drop of a hat. You can make as many how many transactions could you make in, say, 10 minutes just on a banking app? I could probably do 25 or so, maybe more. Now, from a policing point of view, I have to go through a significant amount of investigative procedures to get the information of those transactions. Fraudsters can do it in an instant. It takes law enforcement days, weeks. So the money, once it's gone into an account, is shifted very, very, very quickly, and you'll never get it back or even trace where it's ended up. So just a quick video just to reiterate those few points in relation to online auction sites and shopping. I've just realized you might not be able to hear the sound. Is that right? Okay, stand by. There's a button I need to press, and I haven't pressed it. Now I've pressed it, we should be okay.
Oh, clicking on a link or sending some emails. Before you know it, the money's out of your account and the parcel arrives. Most deals are great, but some aren't real. That's because criminals take advantage of how trusting we are. When you're buying something through an online shop or auction site, if it's from someone you don't know, they can steal your money. What? First, they know what people are looking for. A great deal on a smartphone, car, designer goods, anything you can think of. But sometimes the thing you want doesn't actually exist. Sure, there's a picture, description, and a good price, but it's not real. They'll just take your money and never send you anything. They'll use excuses to convince you to pay by direct bank transfer rather than using any secure payment service. This is especially true if the site doesn't offer payment options. They may make excuses not to meet in person, ask for payment before delivery, or even offer a further discount. So you transfer the money directly to their bank account, then you sit and wait and wait, but nothing comes. Nothing. The price did the trick. You fell for it. You paid by direct transfer, and the criminal got your cash. Always use the recommended payment services, either the site's own or through a reputable secure payment service. Never a direct bank transfer. When you use a secure payment service, always check their terms and conditions. Or use a credit card for extra protection. You can use cash in person, but make sure you get the item and receipt before you part with your money. If the seller sends you an email that's got a link to pay with, don't click it. Instead, use your usual app or website. That way, your payment should be more protected. And never pay for large items like cars without seeing them first and checking the documentation. If not using cash, check your payment service protects the transaction. It's the safer way to shop online to your heart's content.
So what, like we'd also talked about or mentioned, was we've covered sort of passwords previously as well, and sorry, I don't know whether I'm having technical issues. Just bear with me 1 second. Could I just have clarification that you're hearing me and seeing the screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, we can see the auction site slide.
An auction site slide, and you can still hear me. That's
Yes.
good. Okay, great. I'll carry on. So we covered passwords previously, and that's still really relevant and really important. So use the strong passwords that we've talked about. And if you feel that they have been compromised in any way, then take action immediately with those auction sites, with eBay or Gumtree or those that you're registered on. If you think someone has been able to access your identity on there or your username, and somebody might be selling goods in your in your username and your account. So also that video did talk about be wary of clicking on links. Again, that really is an opportune moment for a criminal to deposit malware because you tried to make a communication with them outside of the eBay, Gumtree communication facilities. And as a result, they've enabled you to open an email and click on a link that goes to do something else. Also, just check your PayPal accounts or your online banking accounts to make sure that the transactions are shown on there. And a credit card does offer greater protection, but I do appreciate that some people might not be able to have those. So website security, there's another one. What actually does the padlock mean? Well, here's just a quick snapshot of what it shows. And when you go on to that padlock there, because it's quite important the padlock is, and people go, has it got a padlock? What does that padlock actually mean? Well, it shows that the connection is a secure one, but what does that mean? Well, it's because it's been certificated. So the browser, so whether that is on here, it's Opera, or whether it's Firefox, or whether it's Google Chrome or Microsoft Explorer, that's now been updated, whichever one it is, they have granted it a certificate to say that it's a valid and secure website. So if you have concerns about whether that is the case or not, what you can do is click on it yourself. So I'm just going to demonstrate that to you. So let me just see if I can find that again. Just need that to disappear. Okay, so here, logged on to Halifax, other banking facilities are available. But if you just hover the cursor over the padlock, it says page information. Well, you can click on that, and there it gives you some more information. The connection is secure, okay, and it's validated. Who's it issued to? Lloyd's, good. And then it's got the cookies, which obviously connect to your computer to make the experience better in the future because it will recognize your computer, but you can have a look at those if you wish. Open the site settings, so it enables you to have a look at what settings are available. So really do have a quick explore of these things, because it's quite important just to understand what they actually mean when people are talking about padlocks and such like. So, and here you can click on more. So this opens up then more information about that particular connection. So that is also really, really useful. And we do find that there's a lot more information now being displayed about those kind of facilities. So that's quite an interesting and important thing to keep an eye out for when doing your online shopping or banking. So let's have a watch of this video, and some of that is repeated in this video again. Yes, the links are clicked. That's great. Okay, so
online shopping fraud is on the rise, and criminals are getting more and more skilled in creating seemingly authentic copycat sites. In 2017 alone, consumers lost £58 million to online shopping scams. In order to avoid falling victim to online fraud, it's crucial that you know how to recognise a scam website when you see one. Here are 6 tips to follow when you shop online. Don't click links that are in the body of an email or a text. Find websites the long way round instead, via Google or a verified social media account. And be wary of Google Ads. Scam companies sometimes pay to appear at the top of Google searches. Create multiple email addresses for different purposes. You might want a private one that you never give away online, another for sites you trust, and one more for sites you've never used before. If you receive a spam email, don't just delete it. Marking it as junk will train your inbox to recognise unwanted emails. Check your URL carefully. Alarm bells should ring if it doesn't match the content, contains spelling errors, or is absurdly long. Look carefully at the URL and watch out for sneaky font tricks. Scammers might use similar letters from other alphabets to mimic legitimate sites. Does the website have a green padlock and HTTPS in the toolbar? If it does, this is a good sign, as it means the site is SSL certified and the connection is encrypted. Never enter card details or passwords on a site that doesn't have a green padlock and HTTPS in the toolbar. But be aware that the site using the encryption could still be untrustworthy. Lastly, check that the contact and copyright information looks legitimate. Authentic sites should have a phone number and often a social media presence, and the copyright should be up to date and showing the legal brand name. For more information on scam websites, check out our full news story. We also have a video guide to protecting your data online to minimise your risk of fraud. If you have any questions about online
So that's online shopping, and really I think that the key points there are: take your time. The same thing, don't be rushed into buying anything that you think is a good bargain, because that is really the significant way that fraudsters take advantage of people, because they see such a good deal that suddenly their heads race away with themselves and off they go and send, get the money, I need the item, and before you know it, the money's gone and no item, and so you're really on the back foot there. So take your time, do your research, and don't always just go for the cheapest option, because it's not necessarily the best one. So we'll just go through the elements of online banking. Banks have become a lot better. There's no two ways about it. They've recognized the risks, recognized their responsibilities, and they have taken significant approaches in making it more secure. So the fraudsters have had to go a little bit outside of the box, and so they are trying to get more information from people through phishing, which we talked about previously, which is the email links to try and hook you in, or vishing, which is voice solicitation, them pretending to be the bank to get you to disclose your information. So don't ever react to an unsolicited request, which is repeated down here. So identity theft, again, the use of your personal details. We talked about passwords, we talked about your account. And so this is really important that you do look after your online banking username and password. And if it's an email, the video is right. Keep a separate one. I know that it makes things difficult for ourselves in managing all of this, but at the same time, it's just taking that extra step so that you protect yourself. And once you've lost your identity to a fraudster, I can assure you that it's really difficult to get it back. So you want to make sure that you keep hold of it. Malware, we talked about keeping the device updated. This is why, because if we leave them unpatched and there are holes in our computers or even our phones and our operating systems aren't working effectively, fraudsters will be able to get certain malware into those devices and retrieve information that could give access to banking facilities. Never respond to an unsolicited request, even if it sounds like it's an absolute urgent request. Always go through a valid and genuine connection if you feel that there has been any kind of compromise or a breach, because a fraudster will try and get you to panic and think that then you are talking to the bank. And there was one instance where it actually occurred to a police officer who was on duty, and they received a phone call that was from their bank saying that their account had been compromised. But what happened was that they'd got hold of this individual's email address, and they were trying to get in to their online banking. And when you put in an email address, it then asks you for the code. And if you can't remember your password, you then ask for an authentication code to be sent to your phone. Well, the fraudsters know that. And so this particular case, they put the email in, and then they spoke to the person on the phone and said, we're going to send you a code, and we need you to tell us what that code is so that we can make sure that this account is secure. So that's what happened. And the code went to the phone that was actually the correct and authenticated phone, but the fraudster knew what that mechanism was. The police officer was at work, caught off guard, panicked, about to go to another job, and gave the code away. And ultimately, the fraudster got into the bank. So really don't engage on unsolicited calls. Always stop and say, I'm going to get in touch with my bank, and use the phone number on your bank card, or use the connection on your internet that takes you to the genuine site. So those are the really important points there. So always make sure you're on a secure internet connection, and don't put your banking details in whilst you're at a public Wi-Fi. That's vitally important, because you don't know who is connecting or grabbing your information as it passes through to the public Wi-Fi. So always make sure you're on a secure internet connection through your routers. And also only visit your bank's website via the address through your browser. So if you get a message, whether it's an SMS, text, or email, don't click on that link. That's drawing you into them, not taking you to the bank. The two-factor authentication, that's what I've talked about, but that can be used as well. So just be mindful of what someone is asking you to do before you do it. But use two-factor authentication. It's really important. It's really useful. So I would encourage that use. Your phone is brilliant, but make sure you put a pin on it. So many people have got their phones open and unlocked, and all the apps are there and ready, available to go to the next step. So just make sure you do connect your, protect your phone. And before we sort of finish, I just wanted to talk to you about the online travel and the 3 top scams that are going around at the moment. Clearly, a lot of people want to try and get away or get money back from holidays or flights that they might have paid for, and maybe scrambling to get money back. So one, there are bogus travel agents and flight agents out there selling flights that don't exist, or alternatively, there are people purporting to be companies to get your money back for a fee. So be mindful of those current threats. With people not going away so much or flying abroad so much, it's a great opportunity for a fraudster to set up a holiday rental site and get people to pay through a direct bank transfer, and ultimately the destination doesn't exist. It's a copy site, or they're just photographs taken from the internet of a nice caravan park or a nice retreat in the Lake District with a hot tub. So when we're talking about actual geolocations of things, really start to do your research. And again, I think one of the main things here is about recommendations and reviews. They're really important. You know, TripAdvisor is really good for that element. Bogus holiday insurance, that's another thing. People offer insurance that then doesn't cover them. Oh, we've got COVID insurance, but actually the COVID cover is really minimal. So again, reputable and authentic and genuine insurance companies. So like I've said, do your research. It's really important, and it's easy to do these days online. Use TripAdvisor. Use reputable and recommended sites or even companies. Pay with a credit card. PayPal gives greater protection. And do your research on Google Maps and Google Earth. They're there to help you as well. So get the full address of the location. Check it out. Have a look for reviews on sites, because like we've seen on that mobile phone sale and website, there we saw a distinction between 3. One seller was selling a phone, really no or little activity, and then another at the other extreme, you know, a huge amount of feedback to give you some assurance. Don't just do things by email. If you want to speak to somebody, try and get them to call you direct and call them direct. Always interesting to try and make sure that you do that, because then you find whether they speak English, first of all. So that's a good start. But again, reputable travel agents provide additional protections. So, you know, do consider the use of them. And I also just wanted to, if you want to take note of that, it's a Get Safe Online website. And a question from last week was trying to put people's mind at rest about how to be safe online and how we get the message across without putting fear into people. So this section of our website gives a lot of information in simple terms about what I've spoken about how to be safe for people who are new to the internet. And it's a really good step-by-step way of introducing security measures and passwords and how they work and why they work in a really informal but informative way. so that the people who you're communicating with don't suddenly fear the internet. They just feel more empowered because their understanding of it is far greater. And I'll actually put that, hopefully you'll have that website and that can be shared with you. Just wanted to reiterate these again. I've done it every week so far because they're still going around, they're still relevant, and they are still making money for fraudsters, and people are losing out. So really be mindful of and pass messages on about these threats that are continuing to take place in these COVID times. And I think we've all learned a lot more about ourselves during lockdown, and also learned a lot more about how we interact online. So to sort of finish the whole kind of session and wrap up the 4 sessions, we did passwords, device security, and that really puts a technical lock around your devices and around your phones. And we talked about social engineering and how criminals can manipulate your behavior, and they're really, really good at it. Don't underestimate them. And the second or the third was about socializing online, and being free and confident about how to interact with people online in chat rooms, on dating websites and such like. So that linked in nicely then with online shopping and banking to make sure that you're really secure in what you're purchasing and how you're purchasing, and make sure that fraudster doesn't manipulate you to their narrative and get money from you, or get whatever they want you to do. That's the key thing there, just to step back, not get involved in their narrative. That's one thing I really want to drive home, is that they want you to be involved. If you're not involved, the fraud can't take place. So just step back and think, am I doing the right thing here? And remember that phrase, am I safe? Am I giving access to somebody to my computer or my device or my account? What's the motivation about this? Am I losing money, or am I being manipulated? Motivation. Identity. Am I giving away too much information here? Am I filling in an online quiz with all of my details that someone can do some damage with? So am I safe? Before you respond, it's a great environment online. It's absolutely saved us in lockdown to communicate with each other and to purchase things and to be involved. And without it, we'll be lost. So it really is a fantastic tool. All we need to do is just be a little bit more savvy about what we're doing, and we'll be absolutely fine. So that's it from me. And if anyone's got any questions, then I'm happy to share it with you.
Thanks, Rob. Yep, as I say, if there's anything you want to ask, you can unmute yourself or put a question in the chat box, or stick a thumbs up or a wave emoji up, and we can see if we know the answer.
I've answered all the questions that were ever possible about online shopping and banking and activity, so that's fantastic.
Well, what we'll do, if anyone's kind of taking a wee bit of time to think or type a question, just to make you all aware.
Oh, here we go. We've got one here. Who do I go to if need help? Well, that's a really good question, Claire, and that's one thing that, I didn't really cover, I suppose, in the online banking. I think if you are making a purchase through an online transaction through an auction site, make the response directly to them in the first instance. Certainly, if you've made a transaction and used the payment services, then go through to them. Secondly, if you feel that it's a criminal matter, then report that to Police Scotland. Certainly, if you've made a banking transaction that you're not, or a transaction has happened on your account and you're not happy about it, and then make that inquiry with the bank immediately. So those would be the three kind of areas that I'd go to if you've got any concerns. I think there was another question. They don't make it easy. Yeah, Facebook doesn't make things particularly easy, but I think you've just got to go into their settings and make sure that you report whatever you feel is needed to be reported, and persist with them. There's one as well from Anne, which is about how to spot a cloned website. Now, I think the thing to do in relation to a cloned website is it's about the URL. Now, the URL, I'll give you, so whilst we weren't going technical, we'll go technical just for a second. So how do we spot a cloned website? Well, here, for instance, we see the text in the box. Now, some websites, this is the genuine Halifax website. Now, if there was a potentially fake website, then this text would be different. The Halifax might be the same, for instance, but there might be some jargon or some, like was identified in that video we watched, about all of the letters and just absurdly long. If you get an email and you hover the cursor over the email address that's been sent from, that's another sign if it's exceptionally long. The other thing is the fonts or the letters in the website, really check them, because they can be used. You know, a capital I could be used for the L, for instance. So that's an important spot, is in this URL box here. So you can have a look at what is going on the website, but what is actually going on, where am I being sent to on the internet, is here. This is the address. And if you check that out in a bit more detail, then you can find and identify between the two. So you could log on through whatever, you know, if you find a website, and then if you don't think it's genuine, try and find the genuine one through a Google search. So I hope that's answered your questions. And in the chat box here, we do have the Scottish government's advice as well. And like I said, if it's a criminal matter, report it to Police Scotland on 101 or their website. So I hope that's answered a few of those points.
Great. So we're a couple of minutes over, so unless there's anything else, we should probably think about wrapping up. You'll have noticed in the chat pane there, I've popped a wee link to a survey that will tell it that if you want to complete it, to tell us what type of things you would like to see from us in the future. Rob has obviously done us really well for the past few sessions, so if there's anything else you'd like to see, maybe around, I don't know, accessibility or any other topics that you think, yeah, I would really like to attend a webinar on that. If you can complete the link, and we'll have a wee look and see what's the most popular, and look at setting up some new sessions in the coming weeks. We're also, as I say, we've recorded this today, and we'll be popping it up on the SCVO YouTube channel and also on the connecting.scot website. So you can keep a wee eye out for that in the coming days. And if there is any other questions or anything like that you can think of, then please get in touch. But I think that's it from me, unless there's anything else from anyone else.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to do these presentations to you. I hope you found them informative. It's been really good to pass on some of the knowledge that I've got for people like yourselves to take out to your communities. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I've enjoyed it.
Yep, Thanks again, Rob. Okay, so I'll let you all go and get some lunch, and thanks very much for joining us again. It was lovely to see you. We'll see you soon, hopefully.